Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 23 of Hive Knits and Natters podcast with me, Lizzie, the maker behind Hive Knits. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Hive Knits. Hello, welcome back. If you are a returning viewer, if you're new here, I'm Lizzie. I'm a knitter based in the northwest of the UK, and when I'm not knitting, I work as a doctor. I am filming somewhere different today because it is hot here in the UK today. I normally film downstairs, but today it is so warm. I need like all the doors and windows open, otherwise we will boil, and so that means it's quite noisy downstairs. We've got like French windows, patio doors, whatever you want to call them, that open out to the garden. But my neighbour was playing some quite loud music, and there was some dude up a telegraph pole doing something loudly. So I was like, right, I'll come to the bedroom where it's cooler, not quite so noisy. So apologies if you hear any background noise from my windows being open. I've already restarted this filming once because a random van just came and turned around on our driveway and was idling for ages. But they've gone now. So, what was I going to say? Welcome to the new space. We are actually joined by one of my cats, Molly, who, as soon as I made the bed, ready to come and film in here, they just know, cats just know, if you set something up that's slightly different to normal or slightly unusual, they're like, I must be part of this. So she's snuck in here and she's now just snoozing on the other end of the bed. So I'll put a little bit of footage of her. I think she's quite tired because of the heat, so hopefully she won't realise what I'm doing and want to join in with all the yarn, because they do love a bit of yarn. But yeah, that's why things look a little bit different today. I was in two minds about filming, but I've had my hair cut today and I was like, it's literally perfect, apart from the heat. My appointment was meant to be at 10 o'clock and then they asked me to come back at 10:45 and then again at 12 because of staff sickness. So it was an effort to get this haircut today. So I'm making the most of it. So yes, we're here, we're filming, we're all good. I said in my previous episode that I wanted to have a certain object finished by the time I next filmed, and it is so close to being finished that I've allowed myself to film this. I've got other stuff backing up to talk about, and I've got another finished object, so I felt like it was okay, it was allowed. And as I'll talk about in a minute, the bit that was taking me forever and I was dragging my feet on of the thing I was meant to have finished for today is finished. So this is me justifying my variation from my promise to myself for accountability. I can justify anything, it's great. So yeah, quite a few bits and bobs to talk about today. One definitely finished object, one so almost finished object. We're talking a cuff, that's how almost finished. And then some whips and some acquisitions, which is exciting. I'm not wearing wool today because it's too hot. I will do B-roll of the finished objects and whips. If I can tolerate it, I might put one of them on, but we'll see. So yeah, that's the plan of action. Let's get straight into it without any further ado. So my first finished object for today is my Poppy Tee by Petite Knit. I took a very lovely photo of it last night, which I will pop in next to me here, because the light was just hitting the wall when the sun was going down, and I was like, oh, take a picture of my Poppy Tee. But I talked about this in the last episode, the fact that this pattern is by Petite Knit, when I first saw it, it just left me totally cold. I was like, oh, It's a t-shirt pattern, I guess. It didn't really do anything for me. And then, as I explained before, I saw a particularly lovely version by Mr. Bob Finn, who is Malika of the Copy Dolls, and I was like, oh, now I'm interested. So I totally copied her yarn choice, which was Drops Lima. Used a different colour. And yeah, let me show you. Oh, what is that? Oh, there's a spider on there. What? Hey, guy. I'm not sure he was still with us. But yes, like I said, I will do B-roll, but for now, here is. Don't worry about those ends you can see that may or may not be weaved in. That is nothing to worry about. I'm very pleased with this garment. I finished it sometime in the middle of last week and then like immediately wore it to work the next day because I feel like at that point it wasn't boiling hot. I'd just like to say I'm not a complete maniac. Although I'm sure we've all been there and sweated in a few knits just because we wanted to wear them. But that's not possible at the moment. I obviously, like us all, want to wear my knits as much as I can, but it's not always practical when I'm at work doctoring because come across quite a lot of, without being too graphic, other people's bodily fluids. That was quite graphic, sorry. But you know what I mean? It's not a clean job. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to wear my nice clothes. And I spent years and years and years actually when I was in A&E and when COVID was at large in scrubs for that exact reason. But now I work in GP in the community. And my practice, the other like clinicians in my practice don't wear scrubs. They do in some places still, but not in this place. And it's actually been really nice going back to like professional office dress. I've kind of felt like I remembered that I used to quite like choosing clothes for work and like feeling professional and kind of like putting my own touch on what I wore rather than just wearing the same uniform as everyone else. Pros and cons: it takes longer to get dressed in the morning. A lot of stuff needs not ironing. No, don't iron, but steaming with my new steamer. But yeah, it's nice to be able to wear my own stuff again. However, I just have to be aware. So like long, like drapey balloon sleeves are not really practical, but a short sleeve tee is practical. So let me see if I can tolerate putting this on for a sec. Hold on. Ta-da! I will just keep this on for a hot minute because it's very warm. But yeah, this is she. Hope you can appreciate. Oh, my view of myself has disappeared. Yeah, I hope you can appreciate this lovely, lovely knit. So this is the Drops Lima. I keep wanting to say Nepal, but it's the same consistency. You know what I mean? Makeup of different fibres as Nepal, but it's a DK weight, not a Aran weight. And I think, there's a fingering weight version as well. Flora, maybe, is the fingering weight version. But yeah, I will do full B-roll, but you can see that it just fits so nicely. And that's because of various design details. Oh, there's an end. Hide it, and it was never there. Lots of shoulder details. But yes, really, really, really pleased with this. I think it's a good transitional piece, particularly because of the yarn I made it in. It's like, it is, I think the Petite Knits sample is in like Cardiff cashmere. So this is like a slightly heavier weight version, but it's just kind of like it's kind of like a little sweat. It's certainly not a summery top, don't get me wrong, but it's like a little sweater, but like a t-shirt sweater. And yeah, just think it's very nice and really versatile, and looking forward to wearing it lots. I'm gonna take it off because I'm really warm. Okay, we are back in the room and out of the poppy tea. But yeah, I can only praise the pattern, honestly. It was the first time I had done this kind of construction of this shoulder detail here. I'd done kind of this kind of thing before with the increases every row to make the shoulder detail, but then I'd never done the kind of set in sleeve detail, which I really enjoy and I think contributes to the fit. And I just love the little like details on the sleeve and the bottom of the body, the little pearl row, just really nice, really different. So yeah, very happy with that. And that is my very much finished object. And now I'll show you my very, very nearly finished object, which is my Reste Cardigan. Yay! So in the last episode, I can't remember where exactly I'd got to. Had I just started doing the button band? Maybe. Can't quite remember. But anyway, it was a slog. I think when I did it on my first cardigan, I was like learning so much how to do that kind of button band that I don't remember it being such a slog, maybe because I was just terrified of it not working properly. But this time around I knew what I was doing, and it just did seem to just take a very long time, particularly because it's a striped garment. Like that was kind of fine because that felt like it went quite quickly up the stripes, but like round the back of the neck, oh my word, that dragged. Once I was back down to the stripes on this side, that was okay, that went quite quickly. But it's like all these things, I just was procrastinating it, and that's probably why it took me ages. I ended up, so I've got quite a lot of whips at the moment, or particularly had quite a lot of whips, and I ended up using this app called Toggle Tracker or something, I think. I just did the free trial for a month because I think you do have to pay for it. But it was really useful. So basically I added all my projects, and then every time I worked on one, I'd like start the timer on that particular project, and it was really cool. And then it puts it all in a pie chart for you, and then you can see like this week or this month or this year or whatever, how long you spent on each thing. And it was good for like realizing, oh, actually I've like defaulted to spending time on that because clearly I'm in that kind of zone with that one, but actually we're not getting enough progress on this one, so let's work on that for a bit. So that's kind of how I push myself through to do it. Anyway, stop rambling. Here she is. Cardigans are notoriously difficult to show, and because it's not finished, it's still got quite a lot of threads attached to it, but hopefully you can appreciate. Ta-da! Oops. There she is. So yes, that is the unfinished sleeve. But look, we do have a finished sleeve as well. Not completely useless. Oops, sorry, I'm still going to use this camera mode. But yeah, here's the back. I think she looks really suave. I also might be able to tolerate putting this on for a bit, in addition to the inevitable B-roll. Oop. It's gone there. Ha. Got tangled in the yarn. If you didn't remember, I'm using these cones from Woolly Knit, which are the merino fingering weight cones. And oh my word, as you can see, I've basically finished this cardigan and I've got so much yarn left. Like, these are still heavy. Definitely didn't need the 2 cones, but I wanted, at the time, I do now, but at the time I didn't have a yarn winder thing. So I was like, oh, I just want to be able to work from 2 cones. And like black fingering weight yarn, I'll definitely find a use for it. More on that later. But yeah, it's been like, I don't know if people normally do knit straight from the cone or if people normally wind it up. I've just been carrying those 2 cones around me for the whole time I've been making this project. But yes, I don't know how well you can see, but I think the fit is really rather lovely. Ta-da! Ta-da! I'm pleased with the sleeve length. When I had finished blocking, the sleeve was about here. I don't know if it's going to pick up, but you can just about see. I blocked all of this and then I added, so I wasn't sure whether I was ready for cuff, and in the end I added like 2 centimeters and then did the cuff. So the cuff is finished with 2x2 rib, and we've got I did the bind off, same on the ribbing here, where I didn't do any setup, like I didn't do like any double knit setup. I just did my last row of 2x2 ribbing, and then I did the bind off where you basically, with a sewing needle, you put your needle through 3 stitches, pull it, slip 1 stitch off, 3 stitches, slip, 3 stitches, slip off the end of the needle, and it works surprisingly well. I think this yarn lends itself to it quite well because it's not a soft merino. It's quite stiff, and I think I actually, what a surprise, knit it at quite a tight gauge. So this is 2 strands of the fingering held together, and I'm sure, I haven't measured it after blocking it, but I'm sure it's come out at like 23, 24 stitches, which is mental. I don't know if it's probably a combination of me and the yarn. But yes, I've literally just got this sleeve left to go. So this is where it was yesterday, and to get this I added 2 centimeters and the ribbing. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I am hoping that, I mean, that's literally the only thing that's left to go. I'm going to, when I get chance, hopefully get the pattern written up, and I'm hoping that it won't be long until I can get a test call out, because the test for the Reste sweater is nearly finished. We're kind of halfway through the deadline phases, if that makes sense. The smallest 4 sizes had 8 weeks, the middle 4 sizes had 10 weeks, and the largest 4 sizes had 12 weeks. And I think we're at week 9 now. So smallest sizes deadline has passed, middle sizes deadline is a week today, and then it'll be a couple of weeks for the last deadline. But actually most people are finishing before their deadline, which is really exciting. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to close down that test soon, gathering all the feedback, and then possibly have a release date at the end of September. That would be really exciting, but I'm not 100% sure. It will either be late September or very early October, but I hope for the former. And then when that's done and dusted, I'm going to recruit for the cardigan test knit. The cardigan is very similar to the sweater, except obviously it's a cardigan, but the raglan like detail is the same, this 6-stitch raglan. The cardigan has 1 less stripe. It only has 4 stripes, whereas the sweater had 5, and that means that the cardigan is just like generally a little bit more cropped. The sweater's on the longer side with a split hem. It's very kind of long line vibes, whereas I don't know if it was something to do with like the monochrome like nature of this or what, but I just enjoyed when I got to the length after 4 stripes. I was like, I think that's enough, especially with like the fairly deep ribbing at the bottom, and it just sits like kind of maybe like hip height between belly button and hips, rather than like longer like the sweater. I don't know what that beeping is. I'm so sorry. I don't know if you can hear that. This is what I mean. But we will. What else is different about it? Thank you. That was the beeping stopping, in case you can't hear it. I'm not crazy. My version is obviously monochrome of the cardigan, the sample, whereas the sample I did of the sweater was, I don't know what, multi-chrome? I don't know what the term is, but it was like a fade of kind of a colour family of kind of blues and greens, whereas this I decided to do monochrome, and I really like the difference. I've been so inspired by so many of the test knitters for the sweater with different colour combinations. It's so cool to see different people's ideas, honestly. Obviously I now want to make like 12 more. But yeah, I need to decide on some buttons for it. I have some that I didn't use for the first cardigan. I was between the black and white spotty ones, which would actually look really cool on there. Or I had some like black buttons with like a gold stripe on them, which I might see how they look on them. But yeah, exciting. So it's really nearly finished. Pattern writing soon, test call coming, I would say by the end of this month, so keep your eyes peeled if you're interested. Right, it wasn't really a finished object, was it? But the poppy tee was. So let's talk more about whips. So we have a few, and I've just realised I've left one downstairs. Oops. Let's talk about the ones I've brought up here, and then I'll go and get the one I've left behind. So you may remember from my last video that I am making not one, well, I've finished one poppy tee, but I was making not one but 2, because can't have too much of a good thing. And I won't go into huge detail because I don't think loads has changed. But my second one I am making in this lovely yarn. Where's the label? There we are. The Drops Brushed Alpaca in this lovely black colour. I'm very into black knitting apparently at the moment. And I'm holding that double. And again, apologies, I can't remember exactly where I got to in the last episode, but I've now split for sleeves on this version. It's so fluffy. I wish I'd got the collar on before I showed it to you again. That would have definitely elevated it somewhat, but you get the gist. We've split for the sleeves, and you can see the like sleeve detail, and the shoulder detail is obviously present, like the blue one was the same pattern, but it's just a lot more subtle in this double-stranded floof. So I think this is going to be another really good like wintry transition piece, because this is going to be so cozy. I am slightly concerned about itch, because the blue one, when I first put it on when it was finished, I was a bit surprised that it was itchy, because I didn't think I was particularly sensitive to alpaca, but the design does have quite a high collar. But actually once I'd worn it for like an hour or so and it had like warmed to my body temperature, it was much more tolerable, and I just didn't notice it for the rest of the day. So I think that will be fine. This one obviously is alpaca, and we'll also have the high neckline. But yeah, I just think it's going to be so chic. Like, I can imagine wearing it like, you know.
I didn't catch that.
All
Could
right.
you try again?
No, not for you. I can imagine wearing it like, I've got some like bright green trousers that I wear for work, or, you know, some colourful skirts and things. I think it would just be, yeah, a very chic addition to an outfit. A little black fluffy t-shirt. Who doesn't need one of those in their lives? But yes, I basically just have the rest of the body to do. I've not done much of the body at all, only like that much from the sleeve split. So stockinette round and round, collar, and then the sleeves. But the sleeves are literally like, from where you split, I think you only knit something daft like 5 centimeters, and then you start your ribbing. This is the joy of making t-shirts, man. It's great. No sleeve island, because the island is tiny. So yeah, that's that. I won't go on about it because I talked about it a fair bit in the previous episode, but this is Poppy Tee number 2. For both, I've used 3.75mm needles. The pattern recommends 3.5, but I'm a notoriously tight knitter, and I think even with 3.75, I think my gauge on both is still a bit tight, and I think I adjusted size kind of accordingly. I think I'm still only knitting a small, but the pattern on Petite knit has a lot more ease than I'm wearing mine with, so I think it probably is, my gauge is probably like at least 1, maybe 2 stitches too tight. I don't know why, it's just one of those things, right? So yeah, now I've got my other one finished. Can't wait to get this bad boy finished, ready for autumn. Certainly don't need to be wearing it in today's temperatures. So that's that. I feel like we're proceeding at pace, but that's okay. Right, let me find... Oh. I've misplaced something. Hold on. I just went on a whip hunt and found what I was looking for, but also found a giant tangle of yarn. So sorted that out. Here we are. So another of my whips is my Bridal Reste Cardigan, which again you have seen before. This is where we're at now. We have got probably just over half of a sleeve. Oop. Whee! With this stretchy half fisherman's rib. I mean, because you're like, that doesn't look like half a sleeve, but it will stretch and look like that. Gorgeous and squishy. So the body I have put on hold now, because whilst I don't think this is quite long enough, it is rolled a bit at the bottom there. I now have my wedding dress in the house. So I need to try this on with the dress. I wore my green Reste Cardigan recently, and I realised that it's quite long, which is, you know, how I designed it, and it's never been an issue. But I'm thinking about the design of my dress, and I certainly don't think I want it to be that long. And there is about at least 5 or 6 centimetres of rib on this cardigan once you reach the hem. And so I just want to try it on and see where I'm at with the dress on. So put this one on as well. So exciting. So yeah, this will be my beautiful sleeve. It's so soft and cozy. I'm using, I won't go into huge detail, you've seen them all before, but I'm using these 3 yarns: Lanagata VIP, Lang Lace, Lang Cashmere Dreams, all in similar shades of white. And yeah, it's so beautiful. Obviously it will come together when the button band is on, but yeah, just looking forward to having this on the special day. So I think we're on track. Wedding is the end of November, so still got like 10-11 weeks. So if I just show you where this is hitting me, actually. So I've got like a little vest top on today, haven't I? This is already like, yeah, just below the level of the vest top. So with 6 centimetres of ribbing or so, I happen to know that my thumb is 6 centimetres long. So the ribbing will take us to about there, which is, my hip bone is there. That's the kind of top of my hip. So I actually don't think this body wants to be loads longer, which is why I've stopped and started working on the sleeve. Like I said, this sleeve is about half done. It doesn't seem that way, but it is because it stretches out. In the pattern, my sleeves I do 68 V's, or double that for number of rows of half fisherman's rib, and I think this is 30 something, so it's around halfway, if not slightly over. Again, I will double check that I still want that sleeve length on this version of the cardigan. The one on my green sample, excuse me, the sleeves aren't particularly like over long or anything, and I think a similar sleeve length will be fine, but I am making one size smaller of this white version than I did for the green. The green I did a size 4, and this one I'm doing size 3. So I just want to make sure that the sleeve is like the right length. I'm not planning on wearing the cardigan like during the ceremony, but obviously I want pictures with it, and depending on like how warm or cold I am, you know, I might wear it in the evening for the meal, who knows. So I don't want to be like worried about sleeve lengths and things. So yeah, very, very, very exciting. That's my first cardigan bridal version, and it needs to be ready for the end of November. I'm skipping through these whips because you have seen them before, and I don't think it's that interesting to just be like, and this is where I've got to, and then spend ages talking about it all over again. So if you want to know more about the first cardigan bridal edition, then have a look back at previous episodes, because I kind of show you my swatches and like how I made my yarn choices and things like that. And I will update you obviously when there's more progress. And I need to choose some buttons as well. I was going to go with, I may still go with some bumblebee buttons that I have. I know Pete's planning to wear Manchester Bee socks, and I think it would be a cute detail if I had like Manchester Bee buttons on my cardi, but I just need to see how that works with the buttonholes in the design, and also just, it's quite a delicate cardigan, like with the yarn choice and things, and I don't want the buttons, they're not heavy, but they're quite chunky, and I am wondering if maybe some simple like pearl buttons would be better. I'm planning on probably getting like pearl jewellery, like some earrings, maybe a bracelet, so pearl buttons might do the trick. I wish I could say more, but I can't, because I'd have to give details away of my dress, and I can't because, knowing Pete, he'd, not purposefully, but he'd accidentally watch this, as he does sometimes to try and boost my ratings, bless him, and then he'd find out information he's not meant to know. He knows about the cardigan, don't worry. I decided it was not going to be possible to knit that in secret, so he knows about the cardigan. but he obviously hasn't seen the dress, even though it is in a box up there on top of our wardrobe. And he keeps saying, I can see your wedding dress. Obviously he means the box, but he thinks it's hilarious to say that several times a day. So yes, that's my wedding cardigan, ready for when I'm a bride. That actually isn't my only wedding related knitting. Just a little aside, so I'm making the cardigan for the wedding. Didn't want to stress myself out giving myself loads of other like knitting related wedding stuff to do, but between me and my mum, we are making some pom poms for the like table decorations. So this is what I've done so far. Our colours are like sage green and white, so I ordered some this is just drops snow in appropriate colours. They didn't have a white, they don't actually have a white in drops snow. They have this like, it's like a cooler creamy, almost with a pink tone to it, almost mushroomy. Or they have like a very yellowy cream, which I didn't really want. And then obviously this nice sagey green. So these are what we've got. And this is some of my progress so far. They're just going to be like scattered around on the tables. Just thought it'd be a nice little touch to have some yarny goodness present at the wedding. Yeah, they're very, very cute. And more labour intensive than I thought, but I'm just trying to do a few at a time, and my mum's helping me as well. So I ordered all the yarn and then I shipped half of it off to her. I was like, please help. So again, I'm hoping that this won't be a last minute struggle, but if I'm there like 2 days before my wedding making loads of pom-poms, then we can all reflect on this video and tell me I've only got myself to blame. So I'm using, didn't want them to be like massive, and I'm making like a combination of sizes as I showed you. Using the, what size is this? This is the 5.5 centimetre pom-pom maker for the bigger ones, and the 3.5 for the little ones. So yeah, they're just, I got like much more kind of white cream yarn than I did green. Haven't actually made any green ones yet, but I think, yeah, they're just going to be like scattered about on the tables, like with the flower arrangements that are on the tables, and then they'll also be scattered around on, like, you know, the table where the cake is and the guest book and photo booth and all that. So just a nod to the yarn situation. Couldn't like bring myself not to have any yarny goodness present at the wedding, but it was like a balance between setting myself a massive challenge that was going to stress me out and just a little touch of something. So I don't think we don't need many per table. We've got like 12 tables, I think, including the top table. So even if there's just like 5 dotted about or so on table, it should be manageable. Famous last words. So that's that. Won't dwell, but yeah, cute and kind of fun. Like every so often I just make like 5 pom-poms, or, you know, and then they just go in this big bag. My mum's doing the same. So if you're watching this, Mum, thank you for your help with pom-pom making. She's enlisted her friend to like dry rose petals for our confetti. She's helping me with the pom-poms. Friends and family are making the cake. I'm making my cardigan. Pete's doing a lot of woodwork. It's all happening. It's all happening. Very exciting. So I have, yeah, a couple more whips to show you, and then a couple of acquisitions. Really can't tell how long this episode's going to be. I feel like there's a lot to talk about, but I'm going through each thing quite quickly. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out for us. Anyway, I'm enjoying the ride. I'll very briefly give you an update on another whip, just quickly. You may remember I was making a Kumulus Tee because I got jealous of my mum's Kumulus Tee. She's now made a second Kumulus Tee. She loves it, and she's made a creamy one like mine and a beautiful like duck egg one as well. And they're stunning. I'm so proud of her. Like a year or so ago, she'd never made like a raglan before. She'd never knit circular before, and now the second one in particular, she's like made with like barely any input from me. Raglans, eye cords, you know, picking up stitches. She's just done it all. So yeah, super proud, and was desperately jealous. So I wanted to make my own Kumulus Tee as well. Kumulus Tee by Petite Knit, a fingering weight t-shirt, v-neck with eye cord details. Sound like an estate agent, that's weird. And I will briefly update you in that I have now split my sleeves. Ta-da! Always looks... Oh. I really need to invest in some more cables that are a decent length, because this is not the right length at all. But you can see it's very crumpled. I do apologise. But you can see my big v-neck and my sleeves, and we're now in the round, which is great because that's going to be stuck in it all the way till morning. I think the sleeves on the Kumulus Tee are longer than the Poppy Tee, although I might be making this up, but I think there might be options. I mean, obviously there's always options and you can just stop wherever you want your sleeve to stop, but I think there might be options for a longer version and a classic t-shirt version, and then like a just before the elbow version. But yeah, this is my progress. I have a feeling this is probably going to get, if I'm honest, hung up for the autumn winter, although today's weather is making me want to knit this and not the massive black wool. But yeah, I would imagine, oh, another van. I would imagine once the weather calms down again that this may get shelved until next summer. That Poppy Tee is very lucky that it's got finished, because I have a bad track record with summer knits. Somewhere in this house I have a camisole number 2, a June top, and something else, and this, and let's just put it this way, none of them have been finished. So it's probably the same old thing of like fingering weight, you know, does take a long time. And in the UK, I like hot summer season to be motivated and work on them. It doesn't last that long, so that's probably something to do with it. Did forget to say that for this Kumulus Tee, I am using Phil Kalana Mercy, which is a 50-50 cotton and merino blend, and I'm using it in this lovely white colour. I think this is their like white rather than natural white or cream or anything like that. I'm hoping that this will block out, because my stitches are a bit uneven at the minute. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, you can actually. There's a line there halfway down, this is the back, and I actually steam blocked what's above the line. I steam blocked that when I was doing something, checking my gauge, or can't remember what I was doing. And then below that is like unblocked, so hopefully some of the uneven stitches will even out a little bit when I soak and block this and the yarn blooms a little bit. But yeah, there we go. I am using 3.25mm needles. The top is meant to be made with 3.03mm needles, not 3.03, 3mm needles, and same story, tight gauge, we've got an upper needle size. So my last and newest whip is sponsored. The yarn was sent to me by a lovely company called Imagine Wool, and they reached out to me and said, would I like to try their, well, I think any of their yarns, but particularly they were asking about the merino linen blend. And I had a look on their website and was like, oh, that's quite unusual. So this is a yarn which is 30% linen and 70% maths, 70% merino wool. And it had some lovely colours, not loads, but like I'd describe the palette as like muted primaries. I'll insert a picture. And I was like, oh, I've never knit with that kind of makeup of fibre in a yarn before. I have used yarns that contain linen. The Tin Lena by Sandler's Garn I have used, but that had viscose and cotton in it as well, and it was very much like just a different ball game to this. The linen fibres in this yarn, I think that they're untreated, and I'll show you in a second. You can really see them, and particularly when I first started using it, I kept like wanting to pick them out, but they're not itchy, and they're just kind of, they make it look quite natural, I suppose. They give the yarn and also the fabric you create just a bit of a kind of like natural kind of edge to it. Anyway, I'll show you, but it's really, really cool, and it's very soft. I wasn't expecting it to be so soft because looking at it, it looks like it should be more rustic than it is. So here is a skein of the Imagine yarn. You see the label? That's better. So this is their lovely yarn. I went for this lovely, like, it is green, but it's verging on a greeny blue. It's a fingering weight yarn. This is a 50 gram little hank here, and 50 grams is 200 meters. They recommend 2.5 to 3 millimeter needles, but the project I'm using it for, I'm actually holding it double. But let me see if I can show you. Can you appreciate the fibres there? If I just rotate it a bit, and hopefully something will catch the light. Basically any long fibre you can see there will be the linen. It's really cool. I like it a lot. And yeah, just much softer than I expected it to be. So I treated myself to a ball winder for this, because this comes in 50 gram hanks, and I was like, oh, I don't use a lot of like hand-dyed yarn, which is what does tend to come in hanks like that, but I have had to wind a small amount of yarn by hand, for example when I've used hand-dyed mohair, and I was like, do you know what, the time has come. So I treated myself to a Swift and winder and made this little guy. Isn't he cute? My first little cake. Actually, this is probably my second little cake. But yeah, so cute. And oh my god, it was so easy. Wish I'd done it sooner. So yeah, that's what the yarn looks like wound up into a little cake. May again be able to see some of those linen fibres. So what am I making? Oh, what has gone on there? Huh? That was weird. It's like a weird pulled stitch that looked like where a new ball of yarn was joined, but it wasn't. Anyway, sorry, got massively distracted there. I had to think about what to make with this yarn, and I was originally going to make a pattern called the Carly Tee by Knitting for Olive, which is like a knitted tee, but I decided in the end it was a bit similar to the Poppy Tee. It's just got that kind of like sweater short sleeve vibe to it. And I then had another look at different patterns, and I remembered a pattern that I've had for ages, for like at least a couple of years, that was gifted to me by notes and knits because I helped her translate in the pattern to English. I think I sense checked it, proofread it, that kind of thing. And I wanted to make it ever since, but just never had got round to it. And I was like, oh, this could be good. And the pattern is made with like fingering held double. So I was like, perfect. So I am making the editing Lizzie here. I am so sorry. I do not know what happened. I seem to have lost a clip somewhere. Whether I've deleted it by accident or it never recorded, who knows. Essentially what I've got is the clip there of me just about to tell you what pattern I'm going to make with this lovely yarn. And then the next clip is my acquisitions. So I remember filming, showing you the whip that is in the photo on the right, but I don't know where it's gone, and I'm so sorry. But these things happen, so I'm just going to briefly explain what we've missed. So essentially you can see there on the photo on the right, that's my lovely yarn I've received, and the whip I am making, which is the Alexandra Tee by Notes and Knits. Now the project, there are two examples of it on the left. The brown one is the sample made by the designer herself, and then the blue mild one is one of the samples from the test knit, I believe. So it's a kind of DK weight t-shirt with a saddle shoulder, which I've never done before, and you can see that in the in my project. You can see that just appearing, and you can see how nicely it fits the two models in the sample as well. And then the real showstopper of the piece is the little frill on the sleeve, which I think is so lovely. Just like a subtle yet fabulous detail. So I thought this would be a lovely piece to use my merino linen wool for. So yeah, this is what I'm going to make. The footage I should have here is basically showing that I am still working on the yoke, working on the saddle shoulder construction, and I will keep you updated. Sorry again, and we're going to jump back in with my acquisitions. Bye! I'm very warm, so I'm going to wind this up by just showing you a couple of the acquisitions I have newly acquired, and then I shall love you and leave you. So I have definitely been trying to be more mindful about yarn consumption, as have a lot of people. Buying the odd bit there and then, like I'm not on a yarn ban or anything like that, just trying to be a bit considered about it all. Oh, this can tie into an acquisition. I completely forgot. The people at Imagine Wool, they sent me another of their yarns to have a look at. I'm so sorry. Here it is. So they do multiple yarns. The merino linen, which we just looked at, but also this is their merino fingering yarn, and it's beautiful. It's so soft. And they sent me 2 skeins in this really lovely kind of, is it a brown? Is it a purple? I'm not too sure. It's coming across on camera as very brown, but in real life it's like, it's got a slight purpley hue to it. So they call this their soft merino thin, but from what I can tell, this is essentially like a fingering weight merino. 100% organic fine merino wool from Patagonia. Oh, it's not quite fingering weight. 50 grams is 167 meters. So it's more like a sport. Similar to the Panilla, which I made my sample of the Reste sweater in. That was 50 grams is 175 meters. So yeah, it looks like probably somewhere between a fingering and a sport, I would say. recommended 3 to 3.5 millimeter needles. Now they sent me 2 skeins of this. So they sent me 100 grams, or what's that going to come out as? Just over 300 meters of heavy fingering / sport weight yarn. And it's beautiful, and I want to do something with it because this is such an unusual colour and not something that I would choose. So I kind of want to make the most of it. However, obviously, I'm not going to get much out of this amount. So I know that it takes like 3 skeins, just under 3 50-gram skeins of like fingering weight yarn. This feels very much like VIP, just holding it like that. I know that was really random, I'm sorry. It feels very much like VIP. There's VIP. But this has got 20% cashmere in it. And this is just wool. Merino wool. So that's interesting. But yes, I know that it takes just under 3 skeins of fingering weight yarn to make an Oslo hat, for example. So I don't quite have enough for that. I'm wondering, do you think I've got enough for mittens? I've never made any mittens, but I think this would be a lovely mitten colour. Would certainly hide a lot of dirt because it's already brown. So that's something I'd quite like to try. Or it probably would be enough for one of those tiny scarves, you know, like the Sophie scarf, or I think they're the Pippin scarves by the Knit Pearl Girl. The trouble is, I don't really think I'd wear them. I'm not really into those kind of things. I admire them on other people, but I don't think it would really suit me. So I could make one of those and gift it to someone more tiny scarf worthy. If you can think of something else I could make with 2 skeins of this very beautiful yarn, please let me know in the comments. That would be much appreciated. And thank you to the people at Imagine Wool. This is an unexpected surprise, along with the merino linen. And honestly, I would be more than happy to purchase more of both yarns myself because I think they're lovely. I haven't knitted this up yet, but it certainly feels very, very nice. So, yarn acquisitions were all going very well until Simona from knit.co.uk had a shop birthday sale. I think it was her 4th birthday of the online shop, and she did a 15% off, and it would have been rude not to, right? So let me show you what I got. Sorry, Marie. Oh dear. So firstly, I will show you this. Oh yes, that's right. It's olive green. Sorry if you can hear that engine. Olive green tin silk mohair from Sanders Garn. And I have I'm just going to wait till that's finished. I think it's someone parking. Another randomer turning around. I should sit up here more often. I'd see all sorts going on. Anyway, yes, this is beautiful. That's quite true to colour actually, that how it's showing up on camera. Beautiful tin silk mohair by Sanders Garn. I have never used this mohair before. I have been intrigued by it because I know it has some wool in it rather than just mohair and silk, but I've never used it before. And so when Simona had her sale, I was like, oh, that could be fun. And just really love the colour. It's definitely very my colour. And yeah, the 15% off made it pretty reasonable. So I have an idea of what I'm going to do with this. I have been very influenced by people making the Elizabeth blouse pattern by Petite Knit, I love the collar, I love the simplicity of it. And it was my friend Caroline from Caroline's Knits who made it in a very beautiful, like, hand-dyed yarn, so it had some speckling, and it's just stunning. It looks really good on her. Dare I say it fits her better, I think, than Petite Knit's sample. Petite Knit loves a bit of oversize, which is totally fine, but I like the way Caroline's fits her, and it made me wonder about my own. And this may be a terrible idea, but I have obviously got quite a lot of black yarn left over from my Reste Cardigan, and if I'm completely honest, I thought this green might be slightly darker. It is dark, but it's much more of a like khaki olive than like a dark green, and my plan was to pair these together. Now I am all for a mohair fingering slight mismatch and a bit of marling. I'm wondering how this is going to work out, but I'm going to try it. What I hope it doesn't happen is like army camo vibes, because that is not what we want. But what I'm hoping does happen is like a very, I hope that this lifts this and this mutes this, and we get a kind of like sludgy, darker khaki kind of green that I can use for an Elizabeth blouse. I think that would be really classy. However, looking at them now, they are more different and like not clashing, but they don't look like they're gonna merge as well together as two shades as they were in my head. I have some Samney's Tin Peer Gint as well in black, but I feel like it's pretty interchangeable with the woolly knit, to be honest. And whilst colour people will probably say that's total nonsense, there's not much difference between these two in terms of shade, so either or really. But I'm going to swatch and see what happens. If it doesn't work, then I'll just think again. Either I'll get some fingering weight yarn that's more like palatable with this, or maybe I'll get some darker green if I can find it, like a forest green, to go with this, and I know I'll be able to use this for something else, because look at it, look at my Instagram page, it's literally, it's gonna get used, it's fine. So that was that. This is shade 9062. Sanders, I'm sure this was called dark green or olive green or something like that, but they never put their shade names on the label, just the number code. So if you were wanting to check what it's called, 9062 will tell you. And then lastly, I have got some more Sanders garn actually. I feel like throughout the kind of spring summer I was quite like seasonally ahead with my designs. So basically the Reste sweater and cardigan, which are technically, I suppose, autumn winter garments, were like designed and knit through the summer, which is good because it means I can test and hopefully release them in the autumn winter. And so obviously the flip side of that is I'm now like, ooh, should I start thinking about like messing about with a spring summer design that I can knit and get into testing kind of through autumn, winter and late winter, early spring. So I actually completely coincidentally, once I'd already bought this, I reshared a picture on Instagram the other day of someone making the first sweater, and they'd got their sleeves about halfway, and it was like a progress picture, and someone messaged me and was like, oh, that looks really cool as a t-shirt. And I was like, because I've been wanting for ages actually, but I really now want to get it into the works to make a first t-shirt, so like a short sleeved version of the first sweater basically, but as a summer tee rather than like a winter blouse, I suppose. That's the vibe. So I have ordered some of this from China. This is Sandner's Duo, which is a cotton and merino blend. So the merino just tops it at 55% and the cotton is 45%. And this is, I do know this colour, this is in the colour Kit, which means putty. And I've used this yarn, this colour from Sandner's a couple of times before. I used it as the main colour in my Friday sweater mini that I made for my friend's baby. And I also used it as the background colour held with a speckled hand-dyed mohair for my Ayan sweater that I made this winter. With the yarn that I bought from Copenhagen. It's a lovely neutral. It's cool. It's a cooler neutral, which I think suits me because like warmer colours don't suit me so well. I don't think. Like obviously the reds, the oranges, even the yellows, they don't really suit me so well. Even pink. I tend to stick with the greens and the blues and the cooler neutrals. So I'm going to give this a whirl. So it's a DK weight, I think. Yeah, 50 grams is 115 meters. And it's very high twist.
I'm not sure.
Oh, do be quiet. So I'm hoping that it will come out nicely for that half fisherman's rib texture. I've not made a single stranded first garment. Both my cardigans and my sweater have been fingering and mohair or fingering and 2 lace weight yarns. So I'll be interested to see how that changes things. So obviously I know it's going to be the raglan with the half fisherman's rib sleeve. I think because they're short sleeve I might like play, and because the fisherman's rib is squishy and poofy, it would be fun to play with like a more like puffy sleeve and then have it come in as the sweater and cardigan sleeves do, the ballooning that comes in at the wrist, have it come in at the upper arm, either in a I-cord or a double knit finish, not too sure. And then that would probably affect what I did around the neckline and the waist ribbing as well. But that's the idea. That is the idea, and I'm hoping that I might get to start working on that soon. So maybe I'll, over the like autumn winter, I'll be kind of knitting like seasonally appropriate things, like for myself, other people's patterns, my own projects. But in terms of a new design, I think this will be what I work on. And I feel like I've learned a fair bit about knitted tops and t-shirts this summer with my poppy tees. Obviously that's a very interesting construction, and now the Alexandra Tee with the saddle shoulder and the Kumulus Tee with the raglan, they're all very different. And yeah, I'd never really knitted tees before either. Sweaters, cardigans, a couple of camisoles, but this summer I have knit quite a lot of t-shirts. So if you're interested, then yeah, listen out in future episodes to see what I've got up to with this. What is your vision of the first tee? Does it have big puffy sleeves? Does it have a v-neck? Does it have a round neck? What are the details? Tell me what you think. Obviously the cardigan and the sweater are very much like rib on the sleeves, rib on the bottom, and then rib on the neckband for the sweater, and then the double knit button band for the cardigan. So I feel like we've got options. We've got options. So I think we have come to the end of today's episode. It's been really lovely chatting. Molly is still asleep on the bed. I will try and show you her before the episode is finished. She's so cute, and she matches my Reste cardigan so well. I don't think the cats influenced the black and white vibes, but who knows what subliminal influencing was going on. I hope you enjoyed the chat today and the projects that I've shared. I feel like there was a lot to go through, so well done if you're still here or if you've watched in 2 parts. Clever. I hope to finish my Reste Cardigan obviously very soon, as we've chatted about, so if you would be interested in test knitting it, then keep a close eye on my Instagram/YouTube, because that's where I'd put the tester call. Equally keep an eye out for a release date for the Reste sweater. I think it'll be the end of this month, maybe early next month. And in the meantime, I'm just going to be plodding away to finish my wedding cardigan, my 2 tees that I've already got on the needles. The Kumulus Tee might wait, and I will see how that murky green and black swatch works out. I can't predict it. It's either going to be stunning or it's going to be horrible. I don't think it's going to be anywhere in between. So yeah, if you've ever used 2 such wildly different colours, then let me know how it went and what I can expect. So I will leave you there and have a lovely rest of your day. Enjoy whatever project you are knitting on. It's been so lovely to chat, and I'll see you next time. Bye!